actually axe kicked Lyndon Ashby, who played Johnny Cage, right in the kidney.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Did he do it in the movie or did he do it in the series?
He did it in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I have multiple copies of the movie. Like, I have the movies on Blu-ray over here.
Uh-huh.
DVD, Laserdisc.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so yeah, do you have any questions that you want to ask me about the show? What's on your mind?
Well, first, let me introduce you. Hello, everyone. I'm here with actor Jeff Meek, who played not only Raiden but also Shao Kahn in the television series Mortal Kombat Conquest. Let me speak for all of the fans and saying thank you for doing this interview.
Oh, my pleasure, man. My pleasure.
And I must add that everyone loves your Shao Kahn and everyone loves your Raiden.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad I had a good time doing them.
Has never seen the show, but I told her that you did a really good job and everything.
Cool.
Yeah. But before I start off with the questions that I emailed you, I have one question first beforehand.
Yeah.
How did you land the roles?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that is a good question. Well, when I first started auditioning for the show, they wanted me to audition for Raiden. And so I auditioned for Raiden, maybe it seemed like about 6 times. And it might have been less than that, but it felt like that. And after I went in for the final callback, I read for Raiden. Then they got kind of mumbly between the casting director and the producer and the director, and they all got together and kind of put their heads together. And I was standing there in the room, and they went, Jeff, would you mind taking a look at this other role? And I went, oh, okay. So now I'm thinking that I didn't get the part. And so they handed me the script, and they said, just read the Shao Kahn part. And they said, do you want to go outside and read it and we'll look at it? I said, no, I was pretty upset by the fact that I thought that me reading another part meant that I wasn't going to get to play Raiden, right? Mm. And so I was a little bit upset about it. And so all of that energy and all that upset I kind of used in the reading of Shao Kahn when I was just reading it cold right in front of him. And so I just read it, and they kind of laughed and looked at me afterward, and I was sort of taking all my rage of not getting Raiden out on them through Shao Kahn. And then the casting director looked at me, and she, after they conferred a little bit, and right there in the room, she said, it was Vern Champion, I think was the casting director, if I remember correctly. And she said, would you like to play both parts? And I went, what? You want to play Raiden and Shao Kahn? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, do I get paid for both? And they said, yeah. I said, okay, yeah, that sounds great. And so, yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was quite a ordeal. I felt like the rehearsal process took a long time. I mean, not the rehearsal, the audition process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now on to the main questions. What was it like preparing for the roles every day for the show?
Well, it was interesting because Shao Kahn, he's a completely different character. He's like the opposite of Raiden. So it took me
to Raiden.
Yeah, so the range from that was tough if I had to play it the same day. If I had to do it like another day, I could warm up in the morning or do whatever to get my voice in the right place when I was doing Raiden and doing Shao Kahn. Raiden was more like who I am. It's more my personality. But, and Shao Kahn is sort of my, darkest depths. But it's, I had this, also vocally it was different. I had to warm up differently for Shao Kahn.
Yeah, because his voice was deeper.
Much deeper, right? It was like an octave or two deeper. And so there was that, and just how I carried myself, and also wearing all the gear. Raiden was sort of, basically I was wearing a dress, with some tights. But but with Shao Kahn, I was wearing all this other gear and, padding, and we're just trying to make it look a little bigger, and the neck stuff, and so I guess it took me, a while to sort of get used to it. What's really kind of hard to get used to is if I walked on the set as Raiden, everybody wanted to talk to Raiden. Everybody was really friendly. Everybody was really nice. Everybody wanted to hang out, tell jokes, and we were just goofing, right, playing Raiden. But whenever I walked on the set as Shao Kahn, nobody wanted to get within 20 feet of me.
Nope.
Nobody talked to me. Poor Shao Kahn sat in a corner and just sort of by himself. And
like Bernie Mac during the inauguration.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was pretty much that. It was very funny. Very funny. Very strange feeling of this sort of isolation when playing Shao Kahn. Yeah. I enjoyed playing both of them, but the preparation of it is that it really, I think physically was not much different, but it's certainly different vocally. And so just preparing it vocally, I think, was the most challenging part of it. Yeah.
And when I was looking at the pictures of the mask and stuff like that, it looked like there was a piece of felt over the nose part, to make it look more like a skull, the face looked more like a skull.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a mesh thing that he put over the top. We tried to modify it a little bit, but I also wanted it to be kind of raw and kind of not really well done. But I thought he did a nice job with that.
And the lore wise, it was I think it was supposed to be like King Jared's skull, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, and also then I said it needed something in the jaw. And so he put these blades, and he tried to make it sort of like a predator sort of feel to it. And then it was dangerous if you got around Shao Kahn's mouth. If you even tried to punch him or anything, you'd get a fistful of knives. And so we did that. He also, I think, he put some forks on it that were bent, and it was I still have a replica of it somewhere in my archives here somewhere.
That was going to be one of my other questions. Do you own any scripts, props? Or...
I think in my, like I said, in my archive, in the garage somewhere, in a big box somewhere, there's lots of material from the show, but I haven't seen it in a while. I haven't seen it in a long time. But I do have some scripts. I think I have the pilot and, a couple of the other scripts that were available at the time. Yeah, I think I might. I can't, I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, because it's been so long. But, thank you. Here's what he did is he sort of did a death mask kind of idea. It's kind of dirty right now, but it was a Shao Kahn is my mold of, he built the whole thing on the mold of my face. And then what he did is he actually did a replica of it with the mold of my face and the mask on top of it, and then painted it black and gave it to me as sort of a parting gift. So that's kind of, hanging out in the wall. Yeah, it was a little mesh thing, I guess, for the nose. Yeah.
One of my favorite props that I saw you using was during the Essence, like that goblet. Like that.
Oh, yeah, I like the goblet. I wish I had the goblet, too. No, I didn't get that either. I think that got confiscated right when the show ended. We thought we were coming back. The reason the show got canceled was, from my understanding, is that the line producer or the producer entity, the production entity, they didn't put the they didn't take into consideration the residuals to the actors in terms of the price of the show. So that came out to about $2 million. And so nobody wanted to pick up the fee. And so they decided just to not go forward with the show, which I thought was a shame because the numbers on the show were great.
Yeah, I heard a number of things like the Columbine shootings and what and lack of funding. Like
it wasn't lack of funding. It was that, I mean, because come on, it was Mortal Kombat. It's $1 billion industry. Is that I just think that they kind of, one person was saying that somebody was responsible for it, and the other production part said it was a mistake, and so I just think it was a question of nobody didn't want to pick up the tab, so they just said screw it, and they didn't do it. But all of us thought we were coming back. That's why the show ended the way it did. It's because it was on a cliffhanger, you know.
And I heard, yeah. Do you know what the story for season 2 would have been like?
I don't. Nobody did. Nobody has any idea what that was. Well, I'm sure it was that Raiden was going to escape. He's got to escape. You know, he's not going to be held by Shao Kahn. And but I don't know. I was just having fun. It was a good romp of a show to do. It was fun. I got to come in, tell the jokes, go home, play a lot of golf. It was awesome.
Yeah, I play golf every now and then.
It also was a lot of pretty people. It was really nice to be around such incredibly handsome people. You know, it was great. Yeah. Really. And also the cast was so lovely and friendly. I love Kristana Loken. She's just the best. And I love Powell and, you know, Bruce Locke. And, you know, I just thought they were just terrific, really fun people. And also the guest stars, you know, we had Eva Mendes and, you know, Kelly Preston. And we had a lot of really, you know, great actors that came through. Huh?
Brooke Burns.
Right, exactly. Brooke Burns. Yeah, they, you know, really, really fun, great actors that came on the show that wanted to do the show. And I can understand why. It's a fun show to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so goofy and magical, you know, it's just fun. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know what the season would have been like. You know, I was just bummed that we didn't get picked up. And that there was a big, you know, sort of, it wasn't because of numbers. It wasn't because the show wasn't popular, because the show was very popular.
I didn't even know of its existence until after high school.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, where can I pick up a copy of the show?
Right.
In 2005, I was like, where can I pick up a copy of the show?
Right. It's funny how television is, too, is that the show doesn't get really that, you know, part of the zeitgeist or the, you know, atmosphere of America until after about 2 seasons. You know, when you're second season, people really kind of know that you're around. The first season, not really. You know, a lot of people didn't even know that there was a television series.
It's like basically like with the first season, it's like establishing a storyline, like having you get to know the characters.
Right. Right. It's just your audience can find you. You got to be. Yeah, your audience has to be able to find you first. You know.
Yeah, that's what any good filmmaker would do. Like
any show.
Like a story for the characters, like so you know their backgrounds and their history.
Yeah.
And then you later on put them in jeopardy.
Yeah. And also, you know, you have a chance to do some press, and it just takes time for a show to kind of solidify. But we never got a chance to do that because we didn't get that second season. But I think that the show would have been really monstrously successful in the second year. But, you know, that's showbiz. You know, you never know why things happen the way they do. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. You know?
Yeah, and also I heard that for the second season, it was going to be like the Elder Gods find out that Shao Kahn has broken the rules, and they do like a reset, and they have like, and Shao Kahn is.
Where'd you hear that?
Internet. and they later on and Shao Kahn is facing the elder gods and
It's a good idea.
Like a trial.
It's a good idea, but nobody, talked to me about it,
Yeah.
And I was good friends with the head writers, and nobody said anything to me. So I just think everybody's on hiatus, hoping that the show's going to get picked up, and then
people actually watch the next season.
I even left my bike and everything in Florida. I had, stuff in my apartment, and I had all kinds of stuff there. I just left it there. Yeah, I never got my bike back. I'd like to get my bike back.
Who knows who owns it now?
Oh, I know who owns it. It was the line producer. He took my bike. It was a really cool little beach bike, too. I like that bike. Yeah, I'm bummed about that. I think I'm more bummed about the bike than I am about anything else. But I loved living there. It was fun. I liked Florida. People were cool. It was close to Disneyland. We were on the lot. It was fun to shoot there.
Yeah, at the Hollywood Studios.
It's what?
It was at the MGM Hollywood Studios.
Right. Yeah, it was cool.
Now Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Where are you now? Where are you at?
I live near Albany, New York.
Oh, so you're upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
Cold as hell there now, right?
Actually, it was quite warm today. It's supposed to be going to be 40 tomorrow.
40. Yeah. It was 74 here in San Diego.
Lucky you.
Exactly. I love New York, though. I got to say, I really do love New York.
Yeah. We have conventions here and stuff like that. It's pretty fun.
Well, it's the capital, isn't it?
Yeah, but sometimes they don't for a while it was just down in New York City.
Right.
And now there are 2 conventions in Albany Comic Con, which is a one-day thing, which hardly has any celebrities, and there's Empire State Comic Con, which is the big one.
And that's in Manhattan?
No, that one's in Albany.
Oh, so both of them are there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Empire State.
I'd like to go do that one of these
Robert
years.
England was there.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
I actually got to meet him.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. He actually took a part of mine. I was cast in a movie with, it was Andrew Dice Clay in a movie called Ford Fairlane. And Joel Silver was the producer, and I got cast to play opposite and sort of the bad guy in the picture. And then I trained with Betty and the Jet Urquidez for about 6 months before I actually was going to shoot the film. And then Joel Silver called me and said, well, we're going to fire you and hire Robert Englund, because Robert Englund is now available on the movie. And I said, fine. I said, but you got to pay me. So he ended up paying me on the picture. And the movie the movie script was great. It was called Ford Fairlane, the Rock and Roll Detective. And it had all these great, rock and roll story ideas in it. It was really a cool script. And then Andrew Dice Clay got it I don't know. He did something, I don't know what happened to that picture. It wasn't quite the same movie. But Rennie Harlan directed. You know who Rennie Harlan is?
If I remember correctly, you had a background in music as well.
Yeah, I still do. I'm writing a musical right now, actually.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm writing a musical. It's fun.
Yeah, Paolo does musicals and stuff like that.
Yeah, Paolo's a really good singer.
Just watch Cinderella.
Yeah, he's really a very good singer. And Paolo's a lovely guy too. Really miss Paulo. I haven't seen him in a while. To give him a call. Are you going to talk to him?
Yeah, I'm actually hoping to interview him on Friday.
Oh, great. Would you please tell him, I hope he's doing well and love to see him, and I hope his family's well and all that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's such a good guy. We had some fun, Paolo and I. Yeah, had some really good times.
Yeah, especially the joke at the end of what was that one episode? Let me see here. Yeah, one. Let's see here. Shadow of a Doubt.
Yeah, I don't know which episode was that. Is it what happened in that episode?
It was like Melina was disguised as Katana.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's trying to kill him with the oils and stuff like that.
Oh
Trying to
yeah.
assassinate. And you were like, one more thing, Kung Lao, it's important. Just exactly how big were her front teeth? That correct. That
Yeah, it was fun coming in and telling the jokes. It was fun.
yeah. Have you ever played any of the games before or since you did
Oh
the
yeah,
show?
sure. Yeah, I don't play a lot of video games. Been too busy actually. I'm afraid of video games because I know damn well I get addicted.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so I'm too
because I
busy.
have all the games.
You know, I always promise myself, you know, when I retire, I'll get a video game thing and I'll play all kinds of video games and everything because I'll have all this time. But I haven't had any time. You know, I'm writing a lot now and I'm doing a lot of other things. I'm directing stuff and I'm teaching a lot. And my boat is absolutely full. I mean, I got an absolutely full load.
Mm.
So I'm afraid of, you know, getting an Xbox or whatever because I know goddamn well I'd be
Hooked.
hooked. No, but when I was younger, you know, I played Mortal Kombat. I loved Raiden before. In fact, Raiden was my favorite character to play and fight. I loved it because he could throw the lightning bolts and stuff.
Mm. And
I
that
loved
torpedo.
Raiden. So I was really happy to play Raiden, actually. Also, you're the kind of guy that's running the show, you know. It's sort of, you know, it's kind of cool. I was kind of the elder, you know. Yeah, it was fun.
Kind of like a father figure to the heroes.
Right. And also, if you know, if you were kind of mean to me, that I could take it out on you by playing Shao Kahn. So you had to watch out. You had to watch out how you treated me in real life because I could actually get, you know, I have the last laugh, you know, because I could.
Yeah. Don't make me go Shao Kahn on your ass.
Yeah, don't make me go Shao Kahn on you. Yeah, exactly.
What was it like wearing the Shao Kahn costume?
It was all right. It was, you know, sometimes a little hot. You know what was really hot was the wig in the sun. Because I shaved my head for Shao Kahn and I just put the wig over the top of my bald head. Because it made it look a little bit more like a real wig. I just don't like it when you wear wigs and you got to tuck your hair underneath it. So I told the hairstylist and the makeup artist, I said, look, would it be easier for you if I shaved my head? And they went, absolutely. You don't have to put a skull cap on you because if you've ever worn a skull cap over your hair, it can get really hot very quick.
Yeah,
and then you sweat it off, and then you got somebody messing with you all the time trying to get the bald cap to work. It's a real drag. And so I said, look, I'll shave my head, but it'll be easier for you to put the wig on and everything. But you have to shave it every time that I ask for it. So the deal is if I shave my head to make your life easier, you got to make my life easier. And so they agreed. So every time, even when I had a day off, I would come into the office to get a shave. You know, it was fun. And I could see everybody, and they'd shave my head. And it was great. I actually liked it. It was it felt real freed up to be, you know, without hair.
Yeah, I know
the strange thing about being bald, though, is that you kind of don't look right unless you're bald everywhere. It's sort of weird with baldness. And so you can't, like, I guess you can grow a beard now. I don't know. I just felt weird about it. So it was, you know, once you start shaving, it's sort of like, it's like getting tattoos, I guess. Because once you get a tattoo, you want to get more of them. But I thought it wasn't that uncomfortable to wear anything because Shao Kahn was primarily in the studio. You never saw Shao Kahn outside during the day. He was in the night world. And so it was always in an air-conditioned studio, which is kind of, luxurious. And Shao Kahn wasn't really that physical unless we were in a real fight. He was sitting on a throne having a drink. It wasn't one of those characters where he was just exerting himself all the time.
Yeah.
But Raiden was a little bit more active. I did more fighting as Raiden. I did a little bit more, physicality as Raiden. So it was a little bit warmer. And also it was outside when I was shooting Raiden.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever been to Florida in the middle of the summertime in Orlando. It's way hot and it's Africa hot. And so the wig was a bit much when I was outside, but other than that, it was really kind of, it was a breeze, absolute breeze.
Yeah. Last time I was in Florida was in August of 2019.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because my fiance originally lived.
Who did?
My fiance originally lived in Florida.
I see.
Where
in Florida?
Over in Dunellen.
Where's that?
It's like near Gainesville.
Is that in the? Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of like in the middle of nowhere, but.
Florida's like that. It's big actually.
Yeah, and
I wouldn't think it'd be that big, but it's big. Also, Orlando's sort of right in the middle, so you had the coast on both sides. You can go to Tampa, you can go to the beach, go out of Miami. Florida's cool.
Yeah,
I liked it there. Yeah,
I've actually been to Tampa, Miami, Orlando, Daytona Beach.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and going down to the Keys is always really cool.
Yeah.
And if you like to fish, it's like fishing heaven,
Yeah.
And I do. In fact, Paolo and we took a trip one weekend. We went down to Key West and chartered a boat. And I've got pictures of me and Paolo. We caught some tuna. And we were just eating sushi right there, man. It was great. Yeah, Paolo and I had a lot of fun. Got these little scooters and we're around Key West on these scooters, and I think the whole weekend we were drunk, but we had a lot of fun. We got on that fishing boat and we spent maybe 2 days on the boat, but it was a great weekend. We just really had a good time. Key West is great in the summer. It's just so kick back. It's it's probably one of the most kickback places in the world. Down there in the Keys. There's also a great place down there called the Moorings.
Have you ever studied any martial arts?
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, and also I've studied Wing Chun and Jiu-Jitsu and Aikido. I worked with the Reverend Kensho Furuya, who was a fantastic master of Aikido, and I worked with him for a while when I was doing Raven. I don't know if you know a show that I did called Raven, and that was all martial arts. And also, I learned how to really, work with the katana. Traditionally, work with the katana through the Reverend Kensho Furuya, who was also a scholar in Japanese history, and so I learned a lot about the weapon and some of the work with knives. I worked with Jeff Imada for a long time. He's a great martial artist, and he's a stunt coordinator. He did all the Bourne Identity movies, and he did Crow and.
I also worked, I think, on some Mortal Kombat movies. And
yeah, he did. Yeah, Jeff's. In my opinion, he's one of the best in the business. Good friend, love Jeff. And then there was, Billy Blanks. I worked with him for a couple of years, where he trained me every day for about, almost 10 months. And so I got good, pretty, with that kind of rigor. It's like being a fighter. I trained with, like I said before, with Benny the Jet Urquidez for about 6, 8 months straight every day. So I got to, some kickboxing, some boxing, Aikido, Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu, Aikido, Wing Chun, a lot of different weapon stuff. So I've been, over my career, a lot of my career was action anyway before I even did Mortal Kombat. I did a show called The Exile for CBS, and that was in France. That was in Paris. And I played sort of a double agent spy from the KGB and the CIA. He was, and he gets trapped sort of in France and becomes kind of a ghost private detective for the French underground. It was really a cool premise. And so there's a lot of weapons, a lot of martial arts in that, a lot of action, and sort of a spy, Born Identity kind of character. And then I played Raiden and Raven. I played a show in Hawaii called Raven, and that went on for a couple of seasons. And it was all martial arts. I was a character who was a ninja that was born and raised in Japan, and he came to Hawaii to try to find his estranged son. And all these other assassins are trying to, seek retribution from all the murders that I had committed. And so it's really an interesting, dark character. It's sort of based on the book Shibumi. Do you know the book Shibumi?
No.
It's a Trevanian book about a guy who was sort of a martial arts mystic. And he grew up in China. And it was a really interesting story about this guy who's sort of a savant, martial artist, kind of ninja character. And so we tried to do a little bit of that at CBS. It was a primetime show in, I guess, 93 it aired, 93, 94. And so, so a lot of my background is, and I was just training. I wasn't trying to be, anything special as a martial artist. I just wanted to stay in shape as an actor.
Right. And way to defend yourself if you needed to.
Yeah, it's just great exercise. It's good for my mind. It's good for my body. I wanted to stay flexible and strong. And also these shows kind of, they were paying for these great martial artists to train me. And so I got the best trainers in the world because I'd already gotten the part on something and they wanted me to train and be ready to do the show. So when I was doing Raven, there were certain things that I couldn't do with the katana. I never even used one before. But then I trained with Kensho Furuya, who is a grand master with the katana. And so I worked with him for months and months and months every day. It was really rigorous. And it's a very rigorous, it's a sacred, weapon in Japan. It's not like what Hollywood depicts it as. It's really quite sacred how it's, used.
Like, if I remember correctly, in Japanese culture, it was seen as like the soul of the samurai.
That's it. It is a very sacred weapon. It's an extension of the soul of the samurai warrior. Yeah.
Yeah,
and also the history of the katana is really fast. What's that?
I just got done watching 47 Ronin and Last Samurai. So
yeah, do you know the story of the 47 Ronin?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story. It's real folklore. It's real. These guys really existed.
Yeah.
And so, there's major, wonderful, ancient history that revolves around the weapon itself. And so I wanted to stay sort of true to that. And so I did a lot of real research and studying with the weapon, knives, staff, spear, whatever, I was always working on something. Any other sword play in the theater too. I was in a Shakespeare company for a couple of years. So I started learning stage combat then. And we would use, swords and rapiers and so so I worked doing stage combat for a number of years before I ever did any television. And so it just sort of like morphed, over the years. And then I just liked, how I felt when I was training the way that I was with some of these martial arts. And so I just kept doing it. And, after a while you get pretty good, and I'm old, so it just takes time and energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a martial artist, Brian?
I actually studied Taekwondo when I was a kid, and I really didn't catch on. And when I was like in middle school to high school, I was actually studying American karate.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which was
Yeah,
like a mixed martial arts version.
yeah, yeah.
And if I remember correctly about Japanese lore, not only was it the katana sacred to the samurai, like a sacred ritual for the samurai, but it was also a sacred ritual for the swordsmiths
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like
Just
would have a ritual
right.
when making
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And
And some of them are forged, like so many times. Yeah, and there's some really great, history about some of the swordsmen and how they would take, it's kind of morbid, but they would determine the sharpness and the strength of the weapon by how many corpses it could cut through.
yeah. I think everyone was wondering this. How was the Raiden and Shao Kahn fight filmed in Vengeance?
Well, it was my suggestion that I think, it was about time that Raiden and Shao Kahn kind of got it on, right?
Yeah, kind of duked it out.
Yeah, and we wanted to. I said, and it should be epic. It should be really kind of a couple of gods clashing. So what does that look like? And I said I'd really like to be able to choreograph it with the stunt coordinator, and so they let me. And so a lot of the choreography was me and oh God, his name escapes me now. It's been so long. We got together and worked out the fight choreography. It was actually much more elaborate what we actually did than what was on the screen. We did a lot of ratchet stuff and a lot of cable stuff and just stuff that kind of didn't end up making it to the screen. But it was fun. We did it in a studio and in a big studio space. And my stunt coordinator would put on one outfit, and then I would play Raiden, and I'd do all the choreography of Raiden when they were turned around on Raiden. And then when they turn around on Shao Kahn, I'd put on the costume, and then my stunt coordinator would put on the Raiden outfit. And so I played both parts. It's me in the fight. It's it's also him too, because he takes a lot of hits in that. That's a lot of those hits are not me taking the hit. It's me delivering the blow. Yeah. And so, so I choreographed it and we shot it. It took us about a day. It was testy and it was difficult, but it was a lot of fun to do. But it was all day long. We shot for at least 8-10 hours on that one fight, so, but it took us a couple of weeks, I guess, to choreograph it and write it and stage it and set up the shots. And yeah, it was good. It was fun. I wanted more of them. I didn't think that Shao Kahn had fought enough. I said, when is Shao Kahn going to fight? I mean, he just sits around and barks at everybody. So when does he start kicking ass? And so I wanted that also too, is that I wanted Raiden to fight, because Raiden didn't do a lot of fighting either. He did a lot of, goofing off, but not much fighting.
Yeah, especially with that barmaid.
Yeah, the other thing that I wanted in the fight was that I wanted it a scene within a scene. One of the things I didn't like about Mortal Kombat is that there would be this separation between the A camera and the B camera. And so the stunt coordinator would get together and they would do all the fights, but they were just fights. They weren't scenes, it was just great choreography, but it wasn't quite as elaborate and as effective as I thought it could have been. And so what I wanted to do was to create a scene within the fight, so you could have dialogue, you can have moments, changes, trying to get a little bit more of a sense of the drama and the chess game of a fight Because I think the tendency is that when you have shows like this, is because they want to expedite it because time is money, is that the A camera would be shooting all the acting, and then the B camera would be in another room altogether, and they'd be setting up all the fight sequences. And so you would just do your acting, and then you'd step in and you'd learn a little bit of the fight choreography, and then they would match it. But they'd already shot all of the B-roll on the stunt guys doing all the work. And so then the actor would come in and do their part of it. But I didn't really think that that was as effective as actually, when I was doing the Raven, we actually wrote scenes within the fight sequences, which I thought was much more effective. And it's a scene. It's a scene for a reason. So it's got to have dialogue in it. It's got to have shots of, someone's getting affected by the fight. I mean, where are you in the fight? That's what I thought was really kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of use dialogue to demoralize.
Yeah. And there wasn't enough of that, I think. And it was just a question of just trying to make it, make an episode within 6-7 days of shooting. It's hard to do with all that fighting because a fight takes all day to do. I mean, if you do one fight sequence, that's all day shooting. Okay. So you only have 6-7 days to shoot a whole episode. You got to get all the dialogue in too. And so you try to shoot 3-4 days of dialogue, you're shooting 3 or 4 days of fighting. So it's a lot. It's a lot. It's much easier when you have a group of people, though, because when I was doing Raven, I was a single lead on that show with Lee Majors, and I was in every fight. That was a bitch because you were fighting at least 3 or 4 times a week, and that's 8-10 hours a day just fighting. So I'd have to keep warmed up in between takes. You had to be on a bike or had to be jumping rope or stretching or whatever because you're cooled down, and then you have to, lights, camera, action again when you turn the camera around, and you have to do the whole fight again. And so it's really, really hard on the body when you're doing television at that pace. Movies are a little bit more luxurious because you can shoot, a quarter of a fight sequence in one day. And then you come back, you shoot a little bit more of that fight, and then you come back the next day. You got 3 or 4 days maybe to shoot a whole fight sequence. Now with a television series, you don't have that luxury, and so
I'd be on the time.
Right, exactly. So if you have one episode, you want at least 3 skirmishes in that one episode, right? Are you there? Yeah. And so if you have 3 skirmishes, that's at least, I would say close to 30 hours of action. Well, that's a hell of a long time to, for one episode, you got to shoot all that. And it's challenging.
Yeah, like with a film, you have more leeway, like
months. You have a 2-hour movie. It's taken it's a 2-hour movie. Yeah, you're doing a movie. An hour movie a week when you're doing TV.
Yeah.
And you're doing a 2-hour movie in, a month, 2 months, 3 months. If you're shooting a Mortal Kombat movie, I imagine that was about a 2-3 month shoot. So you can really get very elaborate with the fights if you got, a week and a half to shoot one series of fighting, one fight sequence. Yeah.
Who did you enjoy portraying more? Raiden or Shao Kahn?
I think I enjoyed the camaraderie and the joy and Raiden's a lot more of my personality, but I really had fun playing the bad guy too. I really had fun. It's great to feel that sort of, it's not often that you can be the evil one, you don't get a chance to do that. I felt really sort of psychologically integrated when I was doing both. I'm playing the real nice guy and then I'm playing the real kind of, the shit, it's really fun. It's really fun.
Was it your idea to do like pull a Darth Vader on Scorpion as Shao Kahn?
What was the Darth Vader?
Like when do the telekinetic choke?
I don't recall exactly how that came about, but I think it was something to the effect of he chokes him, and I said, why don't I just choke him without any hands?
Yeah,
I mean, it's so much more effective if
I
I
call
just,
Darth Vader.
yeah, it's the Darth Vader choke. Yeah. I don't know if he's the first one that did that. He made it pretty famous. But I would say, even like early on, like the movies like Dracula and stuff like that, they had sort of kinetic telepathic power.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's all in those type of movies. It's like magic, and with Star Wars, it's the Force,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
is it's magic in its own right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I remember that vaguely. Yeah. I didn't do it very often in the show.
Only that one scene.
I think it was only, yeah, I think you're right. It was only that one time. It's kind of
Yeah,
weird.
Scorpion is like bad mouthing, like back talking Shao Kahn.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
um, I
Shut
find
up.
warriors and turn them into. I find them and turn them into warriors.
I'm glad you know the dialogue.
Well, I
Yeah,
just
that's cool.
watched it recently.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun.
I was actually
Was that Casamassa too? That was Chris, wasn't it?
yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, he played Scorpion in both the movie and Conquest,
right.
and his
Yeah,
costume is the same basically for both.
I felt kind of bad for him though, because he's doing all this good work and he's got his face covered up with that stupid mask.
Yeah, and you only see him unmasked in like some parts of the first episode.
Right.
But
For the whole series, they didn't credit me as Shao Kahn.
they only credit you as Raiden.
Right, because I think they wanted to have people guess whether or not it was me or not.
Yeah, kind of like what they did in 1931 for Frankenstein. Like when they mentioned like the Frankenstein monster, they had a question mark as to like who played the monster.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. The great Boris Karloff.
Yep.
Yeah, Karloff was cool.
Yeah, he
You know
was a
when
great.
that movie first came out, that people actually were screaming and running and fainting from the theater.
Yeah.
And, and so they had to build a trailer or a teaser in the beginning of it with this really kind of strange guy that comes out of these curtains and says,
I
"Hey,
think
if you..."
are
It's what?
oh wait, it was Edward von Sloan that came out
That's
describing.
his name?
Because he was
What's
Van
his
Helsing,
name?
right?
Everhart Sloan?
Edward Van Sloan.
Edward Van Sloan. Yeah, he was really kind of creepy, and he'd come out and he goes, "If you're scared, you should, not observe or whatever."
Yeah.
But they fixed that. They had to put that in the movie because people were freaking out when they saw Boris Karloff for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard he was a really gentle guy.
Yeah, Karloff was really, yeah, I heard great stories about Karloff. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he had quite a career, old Boris.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually have some of his movies on Blu-ray.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't he also
The
in
Frank
Mummy?
Bride of Frankenstein.
He was the Mummy too, wasn't
Yes, he was.
he? Hmm.
Yeah, um,
Wasn't he the
like
Frankenstein with
if you read,
Abbott and Costello?
I don't think. I think that was him. It could have been someone else. I
Yeah.
know. Um, what's his name? Bela Lugosi played the Frankenstein monster once.
Oh, that's right. He did. It wasn't very good. Yeah,
Yeah, like
Bella
I think
was a
like Son of Frankenstein or something like that.
right. Yeah.
But Bela Lugosi was also a great actor too, in his
He
own right.
certainly was iconic as the
Dracula.
as Dracula. Yeah. Yeah, that really kind of
Yeah,
people don't really remember at all how famous those people were. They were really, really famous.
yeah. Like when they say star, like big hit movie stars, like they were like royalty.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like the Barrymore.
Lon Chaney. How about Lon Chaney in the silent era? He was a
Yeah,
huge,
Man
huge
out of
star.
Faces.
Yeah, amazing.
Hmm.
He was great as the Hunchback, and and then his son, Lon Chaney Jr., was very famous too.
Yeah, Wolfman.
Yeah, Wolfman. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and when I was in high school, I actually studied film. So, like,
Yeah,
I had
you
a class called
studied
Film
the
and
old
Fiction.
films. Did you like Laurel and Hardy?
They were pretty funny.
Yeah, really funny. Still are.
Hmm.
Still great.
Yeah, Abbott and Costello.
Abbott and Costello. When I was in high school, we used to do a version of Who's On First with a friend of mine.
Yeah,
And
that one of
yeah,
their best bits.
yeah. And so we had fun doing that. We went to like, drama school competitions, just doing Who's On First by Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was with my friend Beavis Faversham.
Mhm.
What a trip. He was amazing. Yeah, so I loved Abbott and Costello, all those wonderful comedians. I was weaned on Laurel and Hardy,
Mhm.
and also the Marx Brothers,
Mhm.
um,
Three.
Martin and Lewis, all those great teams. It's no comedy teams anymore.
Yeah,
I find that really kind of interesting that there's comedians, but there's no comedy teams anymore.
I know.
It's
Well,
a
like
thing of the
Steve
past.
Martin and Martin Short.
Yeah, but just for a couple of movies, they kind of toured together now, but I guess it's kind of a team a little bit. But there's very few of, the real, because Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin were the most famous people on the planet during their heyday. I think they're one of the only um, artists that were number one, had the number one television show,
Mhm.
the number one live performance show. They were number one on the radio, and they were number one movie box office.
Oh,
All the way from radio, film, television, and stage, they were absolutely the number one act in the world.
mhm.
I think they were like the Beatles. That's how famous those guys were.
Here's a little fun fact. Jerry Lewis, when he was a sophomore in high school, he actually attended a um a school called Averill Park High School, which is actually now like what do you call it? Like a housing development, like not too far from me. It, and when I was in school, that was known as Sand Lake Elementary School, and now it's like um, housings, like various
They tore it down,
lodge
huh?
houses, like kind of like that.
Yeah, they tore it
Loft
down.
housing.
Yeah, they tore it down.
No, actually,
Yeah.
it's still standing, but they just reintegrate, like design the rooms to like the classrooms to now be like house homes for people, kind of like apartments.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah,
wow. That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And I said to myself before they did that, like if they were, like if it was still for sale when I made it big as a filmmaker, that I would use that as my like base of operations for
Oh,
my
cool.
like
That's a fun dream. Hey,
yeah, like the
so
old
is
gymnasium would be like where they would do like um would have been like where I had like motion capture and stuff like that.
oh, great. Yeah, good. So Jerry Lewis is from Albany?
No, he actually lived I think in New York City for a while. And while his parents were promoting him overseas, he actually stayed with his aunt and uncle who lived not too far from here.
I see.
And also about Pristana, her family home is like 45 like half hour, 45 minutes away from me.
Yeah, they have an
Over
apple
yeah,
orchard or something, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I
remember
actually
her dad like really grew apples and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I hope she's good. Are you talking to Kristana at all?
I haven't heard anything from her. I actually want to interview her.
Yeah, if you do, please tell her I said hello. You talking to Bruce Locke?
I sent him a message asking him on Instagram. I sent him one on Facebook, and I haven't heard anything from him.
Well, maybe I'll talk to him on your behalf. I'll call him and say, you're looking to chat with him, and I'll see whether or not he's willing to do it.
Yeah,
yeah, he's a lovely guy. Yeah, you'll like Bruce.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah, Bruce is cool. He's a good buddy. So do you have any other questions about the show?
Yeah, if you were, this is not about the show, but if you were able to travel to any of the realms, which one would you choose?
Well, to choose the Earth realm. It's the best realm. The Earth realm is absolutely spectacular. It's got everything.
Yeah.
It's got everything.
Now you can see Edenia for the first time, like in the current games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the magic of the show. I mean, what an incredible thing to have this little video game turn into what it's turned into.
It's the multimedia franchise now.
It's incredible.
Comic novels.
The franchise is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Really incredible.
And all it was originally was supposed to be like a simple single arcade game, and then that's it.
Right.
And they never had any idea that it was going to explode.
No, it blew up. Blew up. I'd like to do some of the, I wish they would have approached me on the last movie, but I might be too old to play Shao Kahn or Raiden anymore, but boy, I'd like to do it again.
They actually have one coming out in April.
Right, I know, but they didn't ask me to do it. I'm really bummed about that.
But it would be cool if they actually, like what they did with Chris Lambert, they actually had him offer his likeness and voice for the latest game.
Oh, they did?
At 11.
Yeah, I don't know. They should have asked me.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it. So I just think that it's obvious that this is sort of a timeless idea, this Mortal Kombat thing. I think it's amazing, but I always liked it I never liked going into the underworld. You know what's really interesting about shooting Shao Kahn was in the studio. They had the catwalk above the studio was the tour. And so every time that I played Shao Kahn, they would backlight the chair, the throne. And so all the light, I could see everybody in the tour that was coming through the tours watching me act on the show. And so it was really bizarre. And so after a while, we got them to kind of calm down so they weren't walking around and distracting me and waving and stuff while I was working. But it was incredibly distracting. But I remember that I loved being in that space. I liked being in the power of that. But I didn't want to be in the underworld. Who wants to be in the underworld? So dark and you know?
And if I remember correctly, that throne chair was actually a prop they brought back from the movie Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
The one that I was sitting in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Brian Thompson.
Brian Thompson and I went to college together.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Brian Thompson and I actually, it's funny, I've known Brian for many, 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 many years. And we ended up having to play Shao Kahn, and that's so weird.
Yeah, he played Shao Kahn before you.
Yeah, but I played...
And Frank Welker voiced Shao Kahn in the 95 movie, because that wasn't a real person playing Shao Kahn at the end of the original movie. That was like a puppet or something.
It was an animated thing, right?
Yeah, and Frank did the voice.
Right. Yeah, I did a play with Brian when I was in college. It was called Coriolanus. It was a Shakespeare play, and I played Coriolanus. And he played one of the senators or one of the tribunes or whatever. And he was giving me a bunch of crap on the stage one day. And I turned to him and I said, if you don't shut up... And I was playing Coriolanus. I was playing this warrior, right? I said, if you don't shut up, I'm going to drop you. And and he started laughing, and he started poking me or doing something on stage, and I punched him in the stomach.
Oof.
And Brian went down like a sack of potatoes. And he was on the ground rolling around, and he told me, as he's looking up at me with tears in his eyes, he's going, I had surgery to remove like half of my, intestine. And so I punched him right in this really vulnerable spot.
Oof.
When I felt terrible. But
he had to have his appendix removed or something like that.
Yeah, he had some sort of bowel constriction or something that was really bad when he was in college, earlier on in his college days. But Brian's a big guy, and he's an old football player.
Yeah, he was
just being, funny on the set. We were on the stage, and I just turned to him. He was standing next to me, and I just punched him in the stomach. I punched him hard too, and he went down, and I thought I'd killed him. He was just so, but he told me the punch wasn't such a big deal. It was the fact that I had surgery. So I felt bad. But Brian and I have been friends for, we played golf together, and he and Bruce Locke and Brian and Bruce and I played golf. We played golf a lot together. So
yeah, I'm trying to get a hold of him too.
I remember Brian when Brian was working at Universal Studios in the Conan exhibit.
Where
there was a show at Universal when Conan came out with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Conan the Barbarian, and there was a live show of Conan the Barbarian at Universal Studios. And when we were in college, Brian got a job in that live show playing this sort of evil wizard guy. And from there, he did that for years. And I can remember visiting him there when he was doing the show. The show was kind of cool, actually. It was really kind of a fun little live show. And he was saying, gosh, I hope this leads to something, but here I feel like he felt like he was a little stuck to it, but he really, it was kind of a nice break for him. But then he went and auditioned for, I think it was Cobra.
Well, I remember,
and then he got the part with Sylvester Stallone in Cobra.
Yeah, that was one of his movies.
Yeah, that was that was his break. Yeah, I think that was his real break.
Yeah, because no one really remembers him as the punk that gets killed by the Terminator.
Right. Yeah, was that before Cobra?
I don't know. Remember what year Cobra came out?
Yeah, that might be even before. That might be the first thing he did.
Then Terminator came out before.
Yeah, and then when did Cobra come out?
I don't really know because I don't have that movie.
Maybe a little later.
Yeah, like 85.
Yeah, I think that's what. I think you're right. I think it was that his first gig was the punk and Terminator, and then it was Cobra. And Cobra was kind of a big break for him because he was playing the heavy opposite Stallone, and Stallone was a big deal then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he would do some Star Trek stuff.
Yeah, well, Brian's got a very interesting, look, and he's got a beautiful speaking voice, and Brian's, he's smart. Brian's smart and clever and funny, and yeah, he's a trip. He's a unique guy, and also he's very kind and very generous too. So, yeah,
he was actually Hercules, I think, once.
He was in the movie Hercules?
I think he was. I think he portrayed Hercules once.
Yeah.
For some show or movie.
Yeah, I found out from him too is that one of the, I guess from him he's got this sort of interesting look because there's something about he has got a genetic thing going on where he can't take on body fat in his upper body. And so it's great because he looks ripped all the time, right? And he said to me, he says, I'm really not that strong. I just have this condition where I don't have any body fat from my waist up. And I said, well, I wish everybody could have that, you know? And so, but that's why he's got these sort of sunken cheeks and kind of, he's
their jaw.
Yeah, he's no fat on his body and his upper body, so he's all this just muscle, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I mean, Brian's strong. Don't get me wrong. He's a big guy.
But he actually did some bodybuilding later on,
Right.
especially for preparing as Shao Kahn.
Yeah, but he didn't. He never was a real, you know, weightlifter kind of guy. You know, he was always just pretty naturally like that.
Yeah, and oddly enough, when he played Shao Kahn, he was bald too.
You know who's really strong is Bruce Locke.
Mm.
He's a really good athlete, Bruce Locke.
Yeah, I actually have a movie with him in it too.
Yeah, he couldn't beat me in basketball, but
that they never made.
he beat me on the golf course a couple of times. Yeah, he's a good golfer, but you know, I did take him on the basketball court.
Mm.
But you know, those guys are great. I love, you know, we do a lot of celebrity golf tournaments together, and Brian's a lot of fun. He's really a lot of fun. He's a good guy. He's philanthropic and conscientious and smart, and so is Bruce. Bruce Locke's a very cool dude. It's a nice thing, you know, about being an actor is that you get to meet all these really incredible people. You know, that's what I love about the business more than anything. Is that I just get to be hanging out with really interesting, wonderful, talented people. It's fun. It's a good gig when you can get it, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking to be. At first, I actually wanted to be an actor, and then I said, you know what? I think I would probably be better as like a filmmaker, because a lot of people say that I have a really good eye for photography.
Oh, good.
Because I do photography as a hobby as well.
So how are you going to put this film together?
Like I'm gonna like edit it, like segments, like your memories and stuff like that, and like put it in like when I do like the thing about Mortal Kombat Conquest and stuff like that. I'm gonna have like Chris talk about his part and like mash it all up, and then like the whole documentary is gonna be like a mini series.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Just let me know when it comes out. Do you have any other questions?
No, I think that's about it. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. And if you think of any other questions, don't hesitate to call me if you want me to, you know.
Like some follow-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you have any follow-ups.
Tabmark99, who's known as a Mortal Kombat super fan, was like wondering if you were aware about like in the films like Shao Kahn and Raiden were like brothers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's what they were trying to get to in the second season, that you're going to realize that these guys were actually twin brothers that went in different directions.
Yeah, like one went the light and saw the light and the good in people, and
yeah, eventually I was hoping that at one point, you know, Shao Kahn would remove his mask and he was all screwed up. You know, was really maimed and scarred, and the reason he wore the mask wasn't because he wanted to be scary, is because he was ridiculously ugly otherwise.
Well, if you follow like the John Tobias artwork, like in the original games, like the original artwork, like whenever Shao Kahn took off his helmet, he like had like these horns, like these protrusions out of his, like coming out of his from his forehead.
Interesting.
Like horns.
Interesting. So he's like a little devil man.
Yeah, but it was like 8 or so horns.
Huh.
And now they're making him look more dragon, like his
dragonish.
Mm-hmm. Like you could see, like he has like claws and stuff like that.
It's like reptilian.
Yeah.
Well, I did play the Lizard King. I was in the Doors musical with the Doors, and so I got to play the Lizard King, so I could play reptilian, I guess. But I to tell you the truth, Brian, I really had enjoyed my time in Mortal Kombat. I'm glad you dig it too. It was really a fun show. I wish we could have done more of them, because I think that it had, you know, real potential to be quite an extraordinary series. But you know, that's the luck of the draw.
Yeah. But that show, I said that show had potential, and
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. We all felt that too. I mean, you talk to any of the people that were on the show, we just really shocked that we didn't come back to do the next season. Really shocked.
Yeah, like they didn't even say, "Oh, they didn't bother to call you and say, "Oh, by the way, we're canceling the show."
No, not at all. In fact, I didn't pack up any of my stuff in my apartment. I just left my apartment. I just thought, well, I'll be back in a couple of months. So, you know, so I just had some of my belongings sent over to the production coordinator, who was, you know, watching my bike and everything. He's the one that's got my bike. And he was the line producer. I can't remember his name now. I should remember. I want to give my bike back. But he's, you know, and I had a couple of other things. I had a box full of stuff, you know, and never saw it again. But I never got back to Florida for that. But yeah, it was cool. But good luck with everything on the movie, man.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
All right, man. So, and a good talking to you.
Let me stop the recording.